quickly go into the next paper to be presented by, the paper is on the political ideology of Afenifere, and the paper will be presented by Chief Akin Osokun.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chief Akin Osokun.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. But I don't know if this has happened, but I don't think so. I think we should honor the memory of Chief Adebanjo with a 1 minute silence. May his valiant soul continue to rest in peace. So, my brother Dele Faruchi, when he saw me when I arrived, was challenging me about my dress. So, but I forgot to tell him that it's actually because I know that all my other colleagues are going to come up in a culturally defined dresses. And I'm here to refute the fact that Afenifere is a socio-cultural group. I think I'm most properly dressed in that regard. Yeah, so, but I won't do it any other day, especially since I'm a Yoruba chief, a Yoruba warlord. Predictably, after the announcement of the earthly passage of Chief Adebanjo, there ensued a resurgence of efforts by well-meaning Yoruba to broker reconciliation between the Adebanjo and Women Fashion factions. The typical entreaty from them was that the two factions should seize the moment as an opportunity to effect a reunion. I balked at the suggestion because it carries the implication that Adebanjo was the personification of the conflict, that it was a personality clash between him and the other group. It also betrays the subconscious inability of the Yoruba to accept the role definition of Afenifere as an ideological pressure group rather than a 21st century reincarnation of Egbe Mududua. In an audacious revisionist version of history, Chief B.C. Akonde recently asserted that the late Chief Bola Igemezu, rest in peace, was the founder of Afenifere. According to Akonde, the death of Bola Ige was the death of Afenifere. He found it and he took it away. The interviewer then rightly said to him, or asked him, that, but Afenifere is not dead. So Akonde then said, as far, that I don't know, but it is not the Afenifere we formed. I'm sure that an opportunity will come in the future for him to elaborate on this apparent falsity. Personally, what I recalled about the late Chibola, in as far as appellation is concerned, is proposing Egbe Ilosiwaju or Itesiwaju. I never heard him saying that he was founding Afenifere. I was an adult at the time, so I should know what I'm saying. And the indication that contemporary Afenifere is not also in a hurry to adhere to its definition as a political pressure group is his membership of the illustrious South and Middle Belt Forum. The group comprises nationalist separations of the Igbo, that's one Hanese, the Niger Delta, Pandef, and the Middle Belt Forum. These three organizations have consistently self-defined as socio-cultural and nationalist umbrella of their respective regions. Now, was convenient rather for them. They understand and frame Afenifere as a peer group. Alongside Afenifere, they are commonly opposed to the Nigerian status quo and express equal commitment to the restoration of federalism. In this regard, they fulfill the criteria precedent to be cited as progressive. Nonetheless, in the expression of their party preference, the Yoruba electorate tend to vote for the party that ideologically approximates democratic socialism. This was the case with the AG and its reincarnation in the Unity Party of Nigeria, the Social Democratic Party, not the present one, and the Alliance for Democracy. According to Professor Ayoade of the University of Pennsylvania, Nigerian politics before the military takeover of 1966 was characterized by periodic promises to endear the electorate to the political parties. For the action group, such promises were organized around certain issues that ultimately manifested as a concrete ideology. But the open declaration of ideology did not come until 1959, when the party made a public document containing a statement of its ideology. The ideology took time to grow, but existed in fragments as early as the party itself. But broadly speaking, socialism has been defined as advocacy for the social ownership and democratic control of the means of production, promoting social welfare and equality. From this general understanding, Awolowo articulated his adopted version as democratic socialism. Senator Kufuor Bucknell, she's not here, that would be a serious lapse. She lent the perspective that the inspiration for the adoption of democratic socialism came from Nigerian students who were in London at the time and saw the benefits of the program of the Labour Party to the people of Britain and wanted their own people to have the same benefits. And the Fabian Society, the most clearly representative of socialism in Britain. The Fabian Society is a British socialist organization whose purpose is to advance the principles of social democracy and democratic socialism via gradualist and reformist efforts in democracies rather than by revolutionary overthrow. Awolowo clarified the democratic socialism ideology in an interview with Peter Enahoro of the Daily Times in 1982 as follows. Permit me to quote this interview extensively. This is the only way I can do justice to his masterful domestication of democratic socialism. Here he goes. It has been said that because I bought a land worth ₦1 million, I'm no longer a socialist. I don't know where socialism advocated poverty and wretchedness. The whole purpose of the ideology is to raise the status of all the people. It may be necessary by the process of taxation to take part of the wealth of the so-called wealthy people and give it to the government for use in the development of the masses of the people. In a country like ours, the application of this ideology has to be gradual. My belief in socialism as an ideal has not been based on the writings of Karl Marx and Lenin. The methods of attaining socialism can be different from one place to another. The mistakes many people make is that they take the methods for the ideal itself. In Russia, they have to use violence because there is no other way of supplanting those in power. Dictatorship was all right in Russia because they had not known democracy in all their history. The same thing occurred in China. China had these warlords who had their own dominions and past emperors who were ruthless in dealing with the masses. Now, you cannot say the same thing about Nigeria. There is no homeless person in Nigeria. For instance, if I'm thinking of establishing an industry in Kenya, and I need about 20 acres. So I will call a meeting of my family and tell them I needed land. I can similarly say the same thing of your family land. Well, in Russia, in those days, you could not have family land unless you were at the top. So the methods of it adopted here must be different. Furthermore, I do not believe in killing people in order to achieve welfare, because violence once started is very difficult to contain. What is more, it will consume those who started it. I believe we can be constructive in the introduction of socialism. Russia, which claimed to be the ultimate socialist country, and harbors a lot of discontented people. You don't hear of who are able to escape because those who tried and failed are probably in Siberia. If you have to lock some people up and kill them and torture them in order to give welfare to other people, you are really not doing the right thing. In fact, I tell people I do not want this word socialism. How do you translate it to Edo, Yoruba, or Hausa? You have to use several words. It has been said that because otherwise in Russia, for example, their scientists, especially the space scientists, are among the best paid in the world. You can own as many houses as you want in Russia, provided you don't owe them for the purpose of renting them out. At that time, I did not have 1 million naira in my account. I bought the land in credit, though I have since paid for it. I happened to be the solicitor of the owner of the land. I wanted to buy, and he was glad to sell it to me on credit. I've said it again and again. If you are a resourceful person and have the acumen for making money, and you deprive yourself of the opportunity because you believe in socialism, you will find yourself a beggar. If you want to change the system, you must first make money as much as you can under the system. Even Lenin had to make as much as he could under the system, although not by orthodox, decent methods. Without Engels, Marx would not have been able to write his books. I have been able to sustain my political programs because I have independent sources of income. I have been very fortunate. I have some properties from which I collect rents. I'm self-contained. Asked how far left will he consider himself against Secretary of Guinea, Nyerere of Tanzania, and Nkrumah of Ghana, he replied, judged against those people, against their word, I would say I'm middle of the road because they regard themselves as extreme left. But I do not like their methods. Secretary has killed all his contemporaries who dare to criticize him. I told all my colleagues, if I'm in charge here in Nigeria, I will not receive some of these leaders as guests because they are despots and they are cruel. I like the methods of Nyerere. He is a man after my heart. I like the way he has been trying to introduce socialism, trying to push rural development, organizing farmers to cultivate the land better than they used to, introducing free education and so on. Following this trajectory and origin, so I'm concluding. Afenifere is a left-of-center ideological pressure group, which will at all times logically find companionship with organizations or political parties that are ideologically opposed to the Nigerian status quo of a pseudo-unitary state. If Afenifere can be validly branded as a social welfarist, as of social welfarist ideological persuasion, it is equally important to know that more than any other value, what Awolowo bequeathed to the Yoruba and the people of Nigeria is the legacy of competence, credibility, and integrity, not socialism or capitalism. Thank you very much for giving me audience.
Thank you very much, Chief Akin Oshutokun. That was the